Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om and good evening from Buffalo. How many of you have a family member or a friend who really likes sports, but you don't? By show of hands. Now, when there's an important sports game on, or it's about to come on, or even post the game, and you don't like sports, then they also don't like you, correct? Because you have nothing to contribute. But if you do like sports, like they like sports, then thinking about sports, talking about sports, acting towards sports is quite natural. Yes? We are a family. We are friends who are engaged in vichara. This prefix vi is to give emphasis, and chara means to walk, to wander. So vichara means to wander, not outside, but to wander inside. And when we have lots of family and lots of friends who are engaged in this wandering inside towards who we are, then this too becomes natural. This becomes easy. This is the vision of our Vichara Gurukula. And please note, I use the word our Vichara Gurukula. Now, taking up this word natural, what is most natural is our nature. What is most natural is our nature. And what is our nature? Through Human to Hanuman, we're trying to understand that our nature is Hanuman, that our nature is happiness. And it's not secretive. We always escape that which is unnatural. When you're stressed out, don't you try to escape from that state of mind? When we're frustrated, when we're dejected, when we're unhappy, we're trying to escape from this negativity, from these vices. But do you try to escape from quietude, from peace? Do you ever wake up too happy that today's going to be a bad day because you're so happy? You don't escape that because it's most natural, because this is your nature. This is the vichara that we're doing about who we are, what our nature is. And the best people to learn this from are Hanumanji and Tulsidasji. Now I'll share an insight about both with you. Sugriva was perpetually running away from his brother, Vali. What is shared in Ramayana is that Sugriva has run across the entire world. So he's also been to Peoria. He's also been to Jacksonville. He's also been to Buffalo. Every city, Sugriva has run there. And at one point, he had seen these two, they looked simple, but were very regal, approaching him. These two males, these two brothers. And he started running from them, thinking that Vali sent them to capture him, to hurt him. And Hanumanji held Sugriva and said, wait, you don't know that. Find out. Sugriva says, that's a great idea. You go find out. he was an excellent delegator. So Hanumanji approaches these two young men, but he doesn't approach them in the way that we know Hanumanji. He disguises himself as a young boy. He has his dhoti on that's kind of falling off, and his hair is all tied up in a disheveled way. And he approaches these two young men and says, who are you? These two young men say, who are you? So Hanumanji answers, Bhagwan Rama answers, and they go back and forth with this dialogue till finally Hanumanji undisguises himself. He goes from that young boy to his more natural appearance. And he did this when he realized that in front of him were not two young men, not the sons of Raja Dashatha, but Bhagwan. He had found Bhagwan. And when he returned to his natural form, it is then that Bhagwan Rama had shared with him that I am Rama. That Bhagwan revealed himself to Hanumanji. And Hanumanji was confused about this. He said to Bhagwan, Bhagwan, why didn't you show yourself when we first met? And what did Bhagwan say to him? Why didn't you show yourself? As soon as Hanumanji took off his mask, Bhagwan took off his mask. As soon as we take off what's unnatural, Bhagwan will take off what we believe is unnatural, which is that separation. This is why we are dedicating evening after evening to Hanumanji and Tulsidasji. What we know of Tulsidasji, he wasn't always like that. He was actually quite attached to his wife. And not just attached emotionally, he was attached to her physically also. He was a lustful person. And one day, she was so disgusted at Tulsidasji that she says to him, if you loved the perfect being as much as you loved his body, you would be perfect. And that really went deep into Tulsidasji's heart. And he just quietly walked away from that dialogue. And then his whole life was dedicated to being attached, to loving this perfect being. You see how he too had a mask on with his wife, and his wife was great. She helped him to take that mask off. Vichara is similar to the word viveka. Viveka comes from the root vik. Vik means to, or vich means to search, to decipher, to prioritize. Reviewing what we studied yesterday, we took up Chaupai 4, where we described how Hanumanji looks. His earrings, his bangles, Shravanam and Seva. And our sadhana for Chaupai number 4 was learn. Listen and then love. That's what those bangles symbolize. In Chaupai number 5, we also studied how he looks. He has a thunderbolt or gada in one hand, his mace. He has the flag of Bhagwan Rama, and he's wearing a janeyu, a sacred thread. And all of this is symbolizing him holding his speech, his thoughts, his actions. And so our sadhana for Chaupai 5 was integrate, to bring them all together. In Chaupai 6, we studied Hanumanji's large family. Bhagwan Shiva and Vayu and Kesari and Anjana. And we studied how he didn't just live up to his parents, he brought pride to his parents. And so the sadhana for Chopai 6 is appreciate. To appreciate breathing, to appreciate our parents, to appreciate our original parent. In Chopai 7, we saw how Hanumanji makes himself more and more skilled to carry out Bhagwan's work. He loves Bhagwan, so he's ready to be what Bhagwan needs him to be. The sadhana for Chopai 7 was mature. I'm going to pretend to be fancy. Mature. And Chopai 8, we saw how Hanumanji never has FOMO. He only has JOMO. You all know what JOMO is? The joy of missing out. Hanumanji is happy not to have to listen to tweets by certain politicians or what's happening in this person's getting paid this much and that person is doing this over there. He just wants to hear Ram. Swami Chinmaya began holding international camps in Siddhabari. And since they were international, the language of the discourses was English by Swami Chinmayananda. At the time, Swami Tejomayananda was teaching a Vedanta course in Hindi. And at the end of one discourse, Swami Chinmayananda told all of the delegates, you all have to attend Swami Tejomayananda's class on Ramayana. And they all felt unsettled by that because most of them were not Hindi speakers. They spoke English. And Gurudev sensed this, so he said, you may not know Hindi, but every once in a while, you will hear a word that you understand. And what is that word? Ram. What else is to understand in Ramayana other than Ram? So that's why Hanumanji, he has Jomo. He's listening to joy. He doesn't need to listen to anything else. And he listens, and brings that to himself closer, closer, closer. The sadhana for Chopai 8 was internalize. And number 9, we saw how he became very small when meeting Mother Sita. And he made her suffering very small. And he became very big when he met the Rakshasas. And he made their suffering very big. And the sadhana for Chopai 9 was adapt. We continue. Please chant Chopai 10 with me. Bhima Rupa Dhari Asura Samhare Ramachandra ke Kaja Samvare. Bhima means intense. Sometimes we use the word terrible or dreadful. We do the same for Bhishma, the one with the terrible vow. Terrible doesn't have a very positive connotation, so intense is a better interpretation. He puts on this intense form to defeat the asuras, and he is the one who's always fulfilling Bhagwan Rama's work. Okay, so that's the literal meaning. Let's go to the Puranic meaning, the narration related to this. Bhima is Hanumanji's younger brother. So I'm going to actually tell you a narration related to Bhima that we traditionally know from Mahabharata. When Bhima and his brothers were in the forest, then they were staying with a certain family. And in this family, in the village that they lived in, they were protected by a asura who looked like a baka. I didn't say buckeye, I said baka. Baka means a crane, sorry. So baka asura, this huge crane was apparently protecting this village. And every day, food had to be sent to this huge crane, and the family that brought the food, they too would be consumed by this by this crane. So one day, the family that Bhima and these brothers were staying with, the Pandavas, it was that family's turn to bring food to this baka. And they knew about this crane, that it's actually an asura. So Bhima volunteered to bring the food that day. Now, when Bhima brought all the food and he was waiting for this baka, now Bhima's a big person. So what did he do with all that food? He ate it all. All that food that was meant for that asura. Bhima thought, this is great. I don't get enough food in the village. Now I've eaten all this food. And then the baka came though, and there was no food. So he said, you ate all that food, so I'm going to eat you. So Bhima says, no problem. So this baka tries to eat Bhima, and he tries to bite down on Bhima with his beak, but Bhima keeps expanding his body, and he finally breaks the beak and jaw of this baka. So Bhima is not different than Hanumanji, and we saw, and we will see how Hanumanji did the same with Surasa, correct? So I wanted to share that when we see this word Bhima, that's the same as Hanumanji. Hanumanji is Chiranjeevi, correct? He's in the Mahabharata period. He's in our period also. Ramachandra ke Kaja Samvara. Why does Bhagwan Rama and Bhagwan Krishna take avatara? To re-establish balance, correct? Wherever Hanumanji went, balance was restored. Between Sugriva and Vali, between Ravana and Vibhishana, even that missing of Bhagwan Rama and Bharata, he restored balance there too. That is Bhagwan's work, to restore balance. Now bringing this to an adhyatmic level, what does this chopai mean to us? We should all be Aryans. Now that's a controversial word, no? But it's only controversial if you don't know what that word means. Aryan means the one who's a master of circumstances. The one who is a master of circumstances is an Aryan. And how do you master circumstances? By mastering your content. Your hardware becomes great if your software is great. So you see, Hanumanji, he became what the circumstance demanded. He became that. And for us too, we should become Aryans. And we will know we're doing this when we hold peace as a shield against the lower three P's. Pleasure, possession, position. That we're holding on to peace against these other P's. These other P's will fight for a place in your mind. Pleasure will keep on coming. Promotions will keep on coming. Wealth will keep on coming. And if you let go of peace, then they will own us. But if we hold on to peace, then we will own them. That's how we become the master of the circumstance, rather than to be a victim of the circumstance. Ramachandra ke kaj samvare. All Bhagwan wants for us is to realize that we are Bhagwan. What else would Bhagwan want other than for us to know what our potential is, what our nature is? Always remember, Vedanta is an investment on your balance sheet and not a expense on your income statement. What could you be doing on a Thursday evening that's more valuable, more transformative than thinking about Hanumanji? And if you come up with something more, you let go of peace. But if you don't have something more, your life is boring. No, if you don't have something more, that shows that you're using peace and protecting yourself from pleasure and possessions and position. So the sadhana for Chopai 10 is exert. exert. Swami Tejomayananda shares, there is no substitute to hard work. Isn't it? All of the people who want to be healthier, it takes hard work to be healthy, no? Especially if you live in North America. I had read one quote that said, some people walk miles for food, some people walk miles to shed food. Isn't it interesting that we eat so much, we spend so much money to eat so much, become unhealthy, and then we have to spend so much money to not eat so much and lose all of that. Work hard. I remember one workshop I did where I'd encourage people to think of themselves as the hardest working person they know. Are you the hardest working person you know? If not, repeat when it comes to Chaupai 10. Let's read 11 together. Laya se jivana lakhana jiyaye, Shri Raghuvira harashi uralaye. There's a point in the battle in Lanka Kanda and Yuddha Kanda where Sri Lakshmana is fatally wounded. And when Sri Lakshmana is fatally wounded, then really so is Sri Rama. And if Sri Rama is fatally wounded, then so is everyone else, correct? When this was all happening, I believe it was Nala or Nila who had gone to Jambavan, who was dejected because Bhagavan Rama was dejected because Sri Lakshmana was unconscious. And Jambavan was asking because he was, fallen, what's happening right now? And Nala and Nila were saying, Bhagavan Rama is down, and Angad is down, and Sugriva is down. And Jambavan says, what about Hanumanji? And they said, Hanumanji is not down. And Jambavan said, good, we'll all come back then. Hanumanji was asked to find a certain Sanjeevani by Sushena. I had read that Sushena is Sugriva's father-in-law. Not important. So Hanumanji goes to find this Sanjeevani, but Hanumanji, he's used to eating plants. He's not used to deciphering which is which. He wasn't a foodie. He just ate all plants. He didn't say he likes this and dislikes this. He studied in the Bhagavad Gita course. He knows he should have preferences and not likes and dislikes. So he can't find this Sanjeevani. So what does he do? He brings that whole mountain back to where they're all meeting near Lanka. And it is that Sanjeevani that is applied to Sri Lakshmana, and he comes back. And when Sri Lakshmana comes back, Sri Rama comes back. When Sri Rama comes back, everyone comes back. And that's what is shown in the next line, that Shri Raghuvira harashi uralai. Bhagavan Rama, who's already the nature of joy, he becomes more joyous by this. Going to an adhyatmic level. Think of this word Sanjeevani. What does sam mean? Good or well. Like samskrit, well done or well organized. Sam jivan. And what does jivan mean? Life or living. Don't think of Sanjeevani only as some herb in some mountain in the northern part of Bharat. Sanjeevani is all that makes your life better, makes your life more noble, more meaningful. That's what Sanjeevani is. So what should we do? Once, Valmiki Ji was asked, why did you document Ramayana? And he shared, I documented this so that people have purpose. And he compared himself to a dried leaf that is tossed around by the wind when he didn't have purpose. And with purpose, he became like a tree. So this is why he documented Ramayana. That is Sanjeevani, no? He brought in that purpose. Our lives become wonderful when we have purpose. Shri Raghuvira Harashivaralai. What is the best way that you can serve life? Is by living in such a way that you will be one with life. You live in such a pure way that you become one with life. What is the best way to serve the Lord? By being joyous. That's like being Sri Rama. If you reflect on what your parents want for you, whether your parents are alive or not, think, what do your parents want of you? They don't want to worry about you, correct? That's all our parents really want, is for us to be on our own feet, as is typically shared. You have to find Sanjeevani for yourself. And when you do, you will be serving your parents. You'll be serving the Lord. You'll be serving life. The sadhana for Chopai 11 is pray. Pray. Why pray? Because prayer is a form of rediscovering one's potential. How? Because if we're praying sincerely, we become more quiet. And the more quiet we become, the more we come to see who we are. You've all seen the movie Kung Fu Panda 2. If you haven't, that can be like your rad for tonight. You can watch Kung Fu Panda 2 after the Moha Mudgara course. At one point, he's looking in water and he's struggling because he wants to know who he is, but he's using his eyes. And then the soothsayer, which is a goat, I believe, she taps that water, he, I'm not really sure what it is, taps that water with this piece of wood and disturbs the water, but then the water becomes settled again. And then Po is able to see who he is, his beginnings. And see the connection. When we become quiet, we come to rediscover our potential. And how did we become quiet? Through prayers. That's why people know to begin their nap during discourses, during opening prayers. And they know to complete their nap when they hear the next closing prayer, right? It's like an alarm clock. An alarm clock to sleep, an alarm clock to wake up. See how quiet it makes one. So pray. Chopai 12. And these three chopais are really connected to each other. Raghupati kini bahuta barai, tuma mama priya bharata hi samabhai. When Bhagwan Rama was so happy. And to understand these chopais, you have to see this. You have to feel this. Let's imagine Bhagwan Rama, how he must have felt when Sri Lakshmana opened his eyes after being unconscious. Bhagwan Rama's never been separate from Sri Lakshmana, isn't it? They were literally born at the same time. Bhagwan Rama then praises Hanumanji. And he praising Hanumanji is a most worthwhile praise because Bhagwan Rama is the most praiseworthy and he's praising Hanumanji. See, it's very different if, Maricha praises Hanumanji. Who cares if Maricha praises Hanumanji? Maricha is some Rakshasa, correct? But if Bhagwan Rama praises Hanumanji, that's the highest deal. It's like when President Obama gave Joseph Biden that medal, I don't know the exact name of it, before their term ended. The president is giving this medal. It's not a consolation prize. You get a ribbon within it. It's a button that sticks to your shirt. So meaningful. And he says, and here's the praise, okay? It's described in the next line. You are like my dear brother, Bharat. If you're a runner and I describe you as Usain Bolt, you feel good about yourself, correct? If you're a runner and I describe you as Andre the Giant, for those who remember Andre the Giant, he didn't know how to run. He was a giant. Here he's saying, you are like my dear brother. And you're like my dear brother because you love me like Shri Bharata loves me. See, he's not even praising Hanumanji for the fact that he helped him with the mountain or that he found Mother Sita. See, that's still results oriented. He is saying, you are like my brother Shri Bharata, who's the embodiment of bhakti, of love. Now, I'll spend some time describing Shri Bharata to you. When Shri Bharata found out that Bhagwan Rama was not going to come back to Ayodhya, you know what Shri Bharata decided? That he too would not come back to Ayodhya as a resident. He stayed outside of Ayodhya. See the empathy. Another word for empathy is love. When he envisioned that Bhagwan Rama would be sleeping on the ground, he never felt like he was unequal to Bhagwan Rama. So what did he do? He dug a cave and slept beneath the ground. And not just for a weekend because he's camping. He did this for 14 years. Now that is love, where there's so much tyaga, so much yajna. It's not just I love you and we put a heart emoticon. It's not just we make that heart symbol, Finished. He lived this to the fullest. And Bhagwan Rama is recognizing that. Here's the adhyatmic meaning to this. We should live in such a way to earn the encouragement of wise people. Don't live in such a way to earn the encouragement of foolish people. We should seek the encouragement of wise people, to be endorsed by people who are endorse worthy, not just the typical person. Now, isn't that how we live? We live so that people like us. That is a very shallow and artificial way to live. We should live in a way that wise people like us. And if wise people like us, they're not liking us because of our skin color or our degree or our bank statement. They will like us because of our efforts. That's why in Chopai 10 we said exert. Bhagwan Rama praised Hanumanji because Hanumanji is always praising Bhagwan Rama. Now think, whatever you give, don't you get that back? If I stare at all of you right now, there's a good chance that you'll stare at me back, right? If I smile at you right now, there's a good chance you'll smile at me back, right? If I come late for this discourse, then tomorrow you're thinking, oh, he'll probably come 5 minutes late. I get it back, right? Isn't that how living is? The more you give, the more you get, positive and negative. Here it's just brought out in a Puranic sense that Bhagwan reciprocates whatever is offered. Now in our karma, what is everyone's favorite part of a puja? See, they didn't even have to think about it. It was like they're in sync with each other. They all said it at the same time. Prasad. But prasad comes second. What is prasad initially? Naivedyam. You offer naivedyam and it turns into prasad. But we're very clever people. We already know that's coming back to us, correct? So we prepare the naivedyam that we want back, isn't it? You never prepare poor Nevedyam because you know you're going to get it back. Bhagwan always reciprocates. Swami Chinmaya would consider Bhagwan like a mirror. If you're always frowning in that mirror, then Bhagwan is always miserable too. But if you're always happy, then Bhagwan's happy too. The way that Swami Tejamayananda shares this, Bhagwan is not looking for our ability. Bhagwan is looking for our availability. Are you available for Bhagwan? See, this is why yesterday I asked you to discuss time. Who has time for any sort of development anymore? Kali Yuga, kala, noise. I was listening to the CBC. CBC is Canada's equivalent to NPR. See how much I respect the Americans by giving this comparison in reference to America. And they were sharing how much sound pollution killer whales in British Columbia are experiencing because there's just so many ships that go in and out of Vancouver. And they're sharing those whales can't communicate with each other anymore because those ships are so loud. We experience that all day. Anyways, okay. Our sadhana for Chopai 12 is choose. Choose. You choose Bhagwan, Bhagwan will choose you. There's no ambiguity to this. Now this is what Bhagwan Rama says. What does Sri Lakshmana say? Sahasabadana tumaro yashagave asakahi Shri Pati kantalagave. Sahasabadana, which means the one with 1,000 bodies. That's another name for Sri Lakshmana. Tomorrow, he's talking about Hanumanji. Yasha Gave, even Sri Lakshmana's singing your reverence, your praise. And hearing this, Asakai Shripati, Bhagwan Rama, Kanta Lagave. And this is so beautiful. You have to note these words, Kanta Lagave. What does Kanta mean? Neck. Like Neela Kanta. Lagave means press to your neck. See, if we hug each other, my hands will be on your back and your chest will be near my chest. But in this case, Bhagwan Rama takes Hanumanji's head and presses it against his neck. Now, when do you do that? With an infant, correct? Because of their wobbly necks, they can't hold it straight, so you have to press them against your neck. Or someone you is very precious, someone who's very soft. And Bhagwan Rama is doing this to another adult. What a beautiful picture. So let's think about this some more. When bhaktas meet Bhagwan, what do they discuss? When bhaktas meet Bhagwan, when devotees meet God, what do they discuss? Politics, social media, the US dollar. They discuss bhaktas. When bhaktas meet Bhagwan, they discuss bhaktas. So now Sri Lakshmana is interacting with Bhagwan Rama. So bhakta with Bhagwan, what do they discuss? Bhaktas. They're discussing Hanumanji, no? So here's another scenario then. When bhaktas meet bhaktas, what do they discuss? Bhagwan, correct? And we'll see more chopais related to that. Sri Lakshmana's telling Bhagwan Rama how great Hanumanji is. And then Bhagwan Rama brings him close, takes his head and brings it to his neck. In other words, Bhagwan Rama doesn't know what to give Hanumanji. So what does he give him? Himself. That's what is symbolized in this. And I'll give you some more context to understand this. Bhagwan Rama's father's name is Raja Dasharatha. He is a reincarnation of all of our Vedanta and Ramayana students. Reincarnation of what? Manu. Kaushalya Mata, who is Bhagwan Rama's mother, is a reincarnation of Shatarupa. Shatarupa. Manu and Shatarupa are engaged in a lot of dedication, a lot of tapa. Why? They want to have a child like God. So they're doing a lot of austerities. And after some time, Bhagwan comes to them, Bhagwan Vishnu, and says, what would you like? And so they say, we would like to have a child like you. And Bhagwan is so large-hearted, he says, Tathastu. He says, so be it. Now he's going back to Vaikuntha, and he's thinking to himself, who's like me? And he can't think of anyone like him, so he has to come as their son, isn't it? Now, if you take this to an adhyatmic level, what can you compare infinity to? Infinity is incomparable. Infinity is infinity. So at an adhyatmic level, what we see in this chopai is a strong example of anasuya. Anasuya. All of our dancers, our Bharatanatyam dancers, our Kuchipudi dancers, what does asuya mean? Asuya means to find faults in people, in others' strengths. To find faults in people's strengths. Some people define that as envy, but envy is not strong enough. It's not subtle enough. Don't we have habits of doing that? That person's house is so clean. They probably don't let anyone come into their house. That's asuya. Instead of being happy that their house is clean, we make up something. Their kids are so well behaved. They must not have any fun. So anasuya is to find strengths in people's strengths. Sri Lakshmana is not feeling any smallness when it comes to Hanumanji. He is anasuya. He's finding strengths in Hanumanji's strengths. Just this one line of all of Hanuman Chalisa, if we can bring into our lives would be so different, wouldn't it? No comparing, no jealousy, no insecurity. Our Sri Lakshmana, a bhakta, his whole being is just to glorify Bhagwan. When I say Sri Lakshmana, what words come to your mind? Dedicated, humble. I know one of you is saying angry or impatient. I know you're thinking that, and you may not say it now because you may get in trouble. But we do see Sri Lakshmana sometimes being impatient or hot-tempered. He explains why he's like this. He is impatient and hot-tempered just to bring out the glory of Bhagwan, of how patient Bhagwan is, how quiet Bhagwan is. So here, he's supporting Hanumanji, and Hanumanji's whole life is dedicated to Bhagwan. So really, who is Sri Lakshmana praising? Bhagwan Rama. Awesome. Y'all followed that? Okay. The fulfillment of this virtue of anasuya, the fulfillment of all virtues, is when the ego merges with the self. See, Hanumanji being brought to Bhagwan Rama, what does that mean to us? Is we have to practice virtues like anasuya, which is be supportive, be encouraging, be positive, and the fulfillment of all of this is the ego merges with the self. Just like a finger, right? This is my ego, this is the self. When I go like this, what happens to my index finger? You don't really pay attention to my index finger then. You see that which is bigger. Today I was listening to a bhajan about how Meera used to wear gungarus and dance for Bhagwan Krishna, correct? But she didn't dance for him forever. What was the fulfillment of her dancing? She merged with Bhagavan Krishna, correct? For us too, we should dance for God. We should dance for virtue development and not for anyone else. If we dance for anyone else, I'll use a harsh thought just for us to remember, we are no different than prostitutes then. Our sadhana for Chopai 13 is unite. Unite. I'm saying unite, not United, not United Airlines. Unite. Okay, I ended it with that, with that description. I'm happy I have a Southwest flight tomorrow. I'd be the first person they kicked off. Even if it wasn't overbooked, we still don't want you on this plane. Let's chant Chopai 14 together. Sanakadika Brahmadi Munisha Narada Sarada Sahita Ahisa. You know who all of these people are. Sanaka. Sanaka is the son of Bhagavan Brahma. And Adi, not just Sanaka, but the other brothers also. Then Brahma. Bhagavan, the creator is mentioned. Adi. People who are like the creator. Munisha. This indicates further children of Bhagavan Brahma who are very thoughtful. They were thinkers. Narada, another son of Bhagavan Brahma. Sharada, Bhagavan Brahma's wife. And with them is Ahisha, which is Sri Lakshmana, or the one whom Bhagavan Rama or Bhagavan Vishnu resides on. Now, what's missing in this chopai actually comes in the next. I'm just going to pick up on that pada, that quarter. Kahi sake kahate, which means they are unable to describe, and it's not filled in here, but obviously Hanumanji. So Lord Brahma, his wife, his kids, none of them are able to describe Hanumanji. So the creator and the whole creator's family are unable to describe Hanumanji. And these are really great beings, no? Narada Muni, Sharada Devi, Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara, all of them. So at a Puranic level, they're unable to do that. What does this mean at an Adhyatmic level? I don't know if you recognize how choice these names are. In Chopai 14, they're all related to the creator's family, right? And Lord Brahma, the creator, he is created. And that which is created will also be destroyed. And they're unable to describe Hanumanji because Hanumanji is not created. And since he's not created, he's unable to be destroyed. Now, at an Adhyatmic level, us, our nature is not created, and our nature will not be destroyed. Now, when we think of our nature, don't just think of this as existence. Change it now. Happiness cannot be created, and so happiness cannot be destroyed. So where is happiness? Happiness is. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Not created is what's being highlighted here. In this chopai, what is also being shared is our nature is beyond our equipments. The equipments of the body, the breath, the mind, the intellect, the ego. This cannot describe, which means it cannot hold on to our nature. I'm going to make this even deeper, okay? In Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna says, they are in me, I am not in them. Everyone's familiar with that statement? That's like a Zen koan. They are in me. I am not in them. A tree falls in the forest and nobody is there to hear it. Does it make a sound? And we all look, like we're very deep, but we're actually not thinking about it. I'm going to change the words for you. They are dependent on me. I am not dependent on them. It's much clearer now, isn't it? They are dependent on me. I am not dependent on them. The self is not dependent on the equipments. The equipments are dependent on the self. So what do we have to do? Grow past logic. This Chopai is teaching us to grow past logic. And what is past logic? Faith. Shraddha. Amazing how subtle these teachings are. Prove to me that you love your parents. Prove to me that you love your siblings. Well, you may not, so I'll take that back. Prove to me that you love your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews. Is it because you buy them gifts? And if you don't buy them a gift, then that means you don't love them. I have to admit that I don't buy anyone gifts. I'm cheap and I'm lazy, but I still love them. I just don't feel that I need to give a gift in a material way to communicate that, and more so for them not to be dependent on that, isn't it? You cannot prove love because it's subjective. You can only prove that which is objective. That's why we have to go past logic, which is objective, to faith, which is subjective. And we do this. We have faith in the people around us. We have faith in the internet. We have faith in Gmail. Right? How do you know that Gmail's, well, they are tracking us, but how do you know they're not tracking us in the negative? We have faith in that. We have faith that they won't release our credit card numbers when you buy things on Amazon. You have faith in your car brakes. Do you remember taking driving lessons? The first thing you have to do before you sit in a car, you have to walk around. Make sure everything's in check. We fly into our cars, and now we have cameras everywhere, so we don't even move our head. You just look at the camera and you get out of there. But you have faith. How did you get that faith? Now just take it inside. The Chopai, the sadhana for 14 Chopai is believe. Because belief leads us to faith. See, I'm giving you that introduction to faith. And all of these people are so great. They're in the higher heavens. And they themselves cannot describe Hanumanji. And we are down here. So if they're looking up and these people are great, we should follow. No, we should believe them. Have any of you ever seen an atom before? An atom. So they don't exist, correct? So your professors have told you that there's atoms. And without a hesitant thought, we smile and nod in agreement. When that person maybe has never seen an atom either, they're paid to tell you that. And if they stop getting paid, they may not tell you that. But then our rishis come and tell us that our nature is happiness. And they've dedicated their health, their honor to do this. And without a hesitant thought, we disagree and we frown. See the inconsistency in thinking. Be consistent. Question both or believe both. Here I'm saying is believe Narada Muni. Believe Sharda Devi. And our last chopai for today. Yama Kubera Digapala Jahate Kavi Ko Vida Kahi Sake Kahate. Jama actually means Yama. What language are we speaking? Avadi. Where's Avadi spoken? Ayodhya, Uttar Pradesh. And now in our Vichara Gurukula also. So Jama is Yama. Like Yagnya Valkya becomes Jagya Balkya. It's interesting to see those transitions. So Yama. Who's Yama? The secretary of death. Kubera, the secretary of wealth. Digpala, the secretaries of the directions. Okay, we have 8 directions, and then there's 2 more, above and below. Kavi. What does Kavi mean? Poets. Kovida. Scholars. So Yama, Kubera, Dikpala, Kavi, Kovida. And what's connecting all of them is Kahi, Sake, Kahate. They too cannot describe Hanumanji. So these 2 chopais are the same, correct? Come on. You should know that they're not the same. You're all, without thinking at all, we're all going like this. There's no redundancy in such shastras. You see in the second chopai, these are all personalities with special portfolios. Secretary of Death can grant you a longer life. Secretary of Wealth. That's definitely someone we want in our lives, correct? You know how Kubera is described? He is described as the ugliest devata. He has 1 eye and 3 feet and he has crooked teeth. Why? Because what is he thinking about all the time? Wealth makes one ugly, but special portfolio. Digpala, the people who control the directions, like the air traffic controllers or the traffic police, correct? No fly zones or special permission to fly into Florida, into Fort Lauderdale or Palm Springs. And the kavis and kovids are like the Gandharvas. Romantic love is considered Gandharva love because it asakti and it jasakti. It comes and it can go also. So the kavis and kovids, they represent the Gandharvas, you know, those people who are like bards. So the comparison between these 2 is that in the higher heavens, they can't describe Hanumanji, and definitely in the lower heavens, they cannot describe Hanumanji. So at an adhyatmic level, what this chopa is teaching us is to have clarity of purpose. Clarity of purpose. Why are we worshiping Yama for a longer life? You know, sometimes in Hindi, during birthdays, they say, Tum jio hazaro sal. What a curse! You know, to live for thousands of years, I have to stop them if they ever sing that about me. I tell them, just let's practice Mauna. Who wants to live for thousands of years? Why do we worship Kubera? Kubera is like Scrooge McDuck for all of those people who used to watch DuckTales. He's like that. He's like the Grinch. Digpala, these people are so lost in what they do. Have clarity of purpose that those in the lower heavens, those in the upper heavens, those in Buffalo, those in America, those in the world cannot define who you are. Cannot define joy. Clarity of purpose. And where there's clarity, there is conviction. Where there's conviction, there is confidence. When we were studying this, Swami Tejamananda said, why work for the finite? Why work for the finite? Now that means all of you should quit your jobs tomorrow, drop out of school, and just hang out. Some of us are already doing that. I've been doing that for 10 years. Why work for the finite? So you can still have a functional employer, but you don't work for that functional employer, you work for dharma. You can still have family people in your life, but you don't have to be attached to them. You can treat them as your gurus, people who are training you to develop virtues. Why work for the finite? Oh.